Well, good afternoon. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. We have been working with OMA for over 10 years, but many of us were barely part of that 10 years ago when we built the first location-based services back with the LIF and the like. But now is an opportunity to re-energize that alliance with OMA. And in particular, we'll see some areas today regarding location on mobile devices that provide a whole lot of opportunities for companies like yours to really build businesses and the like. So let me tell you a little bit about the OGC approach to innovations, market development based on open standards. So why open standards? Certainly this is something, if you're in an OMA briefing, you certainly have some kind of an interest in open standards, and so perhaps some of this looks very familiar to you. That what we're really talking about is developing a marketplace in which the entire marketplace, based on the open standards, is able to achieve more than you could if you went on your own individual proprietary device and approach. We also, from a government agency and procurement point of view, are able to provide products because of an open standards approach that reaches out to more opportunities when governments are procuring based upon open standards. So, because they want to avoid that lock-in and they want to achieve the lower life cycle costs. So a lot of symbiosis between our standards organizations about open standards. So what I want to tell you a little bit about, though, is OGC's approach. We have very similar areas in the things like standards programs. So the committees and the organizations, the working groups that develop the standards, vet the standards, edit the standards, and ultimately vote as open consensus standards. Very similar standards programs kind of a thing. OGC has a compliance program. We're able to test that software and verify that you are compliant. Again, very similar. Communications and outreach, similar activities and the like. OGC is a little bit unique to other standards programs in the sense that we have an interoperability program, and this is where the innovation happens. This is pre-standardization. This is when organizations who are competitors in the marketplace get together in advance and develop activities, develop specs, develop technology that will advance the marketplace beyond where it is today. And there is a very well understood environment in the interoperability programs about what's shared intellectual property and what is controlled and you keep for yourselves in terms of your own intellectual property. It's only that little bit at the interfaces and the encodings that really needs to be shared. So let me give you a sense of what our interoperability program does. It's about 15 years old. OGC as an organization is 20 years old. And we've invented this interoperability program to drive the standards development. We've proven that over that 15 years, 40 initiatives, and it's effective and competitive agile development process that brings together collaboration between the participants. Cost effective because people have a vested interest in reducing the risk of going to market in a common shared way, and you end up reducing the costs associated with that. So that's our interoperability program, has the ingredients for success all focused around interoperability of collaboration, fast-paced, agile, and the like. We've been doing this, like I said, for 15 years. We've recently completed we do an annual kind of test bed. Our test bed that we completed last year, our flagship kind of test bed, focused on a scenario about disaster management. And so a lot of our development in a test bed is scenario driven. It's not so much driven from let's write a spec, it's more about answering the use case of a given need. And so in this case, it was a scenario about collaborative evacuation response. A big chunk of this is mobile environment. This is why we want to get more tied with OMA and make that even more so. But let me play a little video for you here that shows you the results of that test bed recently completed.
This scenario illustrates technological advances that provide timely integration, conflation, access, discovery, and sharing of protected information during emergencies. from the OWS9 CCI, SSI, and innovation threats. The situation is triggered by a hurricane, requiring coordination of the evacuation and relocation of a person of interest to Monterey. An operator examines the predicted progression of the hurricane and shares it via OWS Context, a document with references to OGC services that other centers can use to seamlessly replicate the information in their environment. After verifying the data, the operator initiates a situation response. Evacuate the person of interest. The latest up-to-date information is needed. A new source of timely information originates from social collaborative platforms, where volunteers acting in an organized manner capture or process data from the area of interest. This information is known as volunteered geographic information or citizen data. Some of this data, such as Twitter feeds, lack location information. In OWS9, a web processing service was set up to use gazetteer data to resolve the location of Twitter feeds. Integrating VGI data with traditional geospatial information results in an enhanced operational picture. The person of interest security team gets a situation notification via OWS Context. The data is loaded in a geo package for dissemination to field personnel, allowing for convenient access to information on their mobile devices. With GeoPackage, data can be updated on their mobile device and later synced with the data sources once connectivity is re-established. GeoPackage data can be combined with other data, such as satellite imagery or elevation. It can be updated with obstructions or pictures. It can also be encrypted and protected. Based on all of this information, the person of interest is safely flown to Monterey. In Monterey, a secured government building is needed to temporarily house the person of interest. Since government building information is often privileged, a security policy is created to ensure restricted access and discovery of certain features. The person of interest security team are authorized based on their roles to access specific information. For access to other critical information, the security team relies on additional cross-community interoperability solutions advanced in OWS9, such as a web service facade to translate between protocols, and a semantic mediation broker to query across domains. For example, filtering features from USGS using NGA rules. Last, a conflation workflow resolves overlapping and complementary road data from different sources. All these solutions ensure that the information needed by the security team has been reviewed, mediated, filtered, and conflated, enabling them to identify the temporary relocation building and successfully complete the rescue mission.
So that, as I say, is the results of our testbed, OWS9, that was completed last year. And you saw a combination of, if you will, traditional geographic information, the GIS, Geographic Information System people, and the remote sensing organizations, the hurricane track and the like, combined with new sources of geographic information, mobile, and provided to mobile sources and clients. So a real mix there, and that's why I'll talk to you a little bit here about the OGC standards that apply to mobile. You saw the use of GeoPackage. This is a standard that was released about a week ago now, based upon a lot of development and testing and running software. It's got a nice little icon for GeoPackage, and it really is the way now to deploy geospatial information, both vector and tiled information, in a SQL-like database out to a mobile device. So go check that one out. OWS Context is also there. ARML2, augmented reality. So we have a markup language now for augmented reality. We did a demonstration of that yesterday, which was a multi-vendor, Matile, Layer, and Wikitude, actually sharing data in an open AR environment. ARML2 is an encoding language for sharing AR data. Look forward to working with the MOB AR here with OMA to say how can we further enhance and make open augmented reality information. We also have Indoor GML, which builds on City GML. I'll talk quite a bit about that, well, at least a little bit more, where this is a focus area with OMA is indoor location. We see a lot of opportunity in several standards organizations to come together about indoor location, indoor response, indoor positioning, and the like, all built in our perspective on what's called City GML, a widely deployed encoding for spatial information of buildings and urban environments. Open GeoSMS, let me go to this. It's an OGC standard and progressing through ITU. It's been about a year now that it's an open OGC standard. It's the ability to put location coordinates in a known fashion into an SMS package. You might be surprised, but the order of coordinates, lat long and long lat, is not a settled issue. People go to the wrong place, drill the wrong holes. People die every year because of that issue. Surprises the heck out of me, but it's still something we need to go after every year. And if people use this set of coordinates in SMS, that problem would be reduced. Points of interest. A new standard began with W3C and OGC helping, and now OGC is leading and working with W3C to finalize it. But a POI standard that's accurate and timely information about POIs and is the backbone of really sharing a POI infrastructure is where we're headed with that. That one will be out in about 2 months as well. 3D visualization, so moving all of that information that you saw into a urban environment on a mobile device, something that we've seen in a couple of different test beds now, showing the strength of the modeling of geospatial environment with mobile devices and being able to really make use of spatial information. So that comes together. One last standard I'll mention, and then I'll mention a way that we might work together, and that is the last standard to mention is sensor things. So we have in OGC worked for, I guess it's been 10 years now, we've established sensor web enablement. This was a NASA research project that identified a comprehensive way to describe sensors so that you could bootstrap any client to understand what that sensor is about. So there's a model language for sensors. It's an international standard. You can ask for the description of the sensor, and then your client can automatically configure to read that. So instead of getting temperature in 6 different ways, or even if it's provided to you in 6 different ways, that you can understand the units of measure, the accuracy, the timeliness, all of those critical issues about sensors. So sensor web enablement's been around for 10 years. It's been standardized, it's mature, it's operationally deployed. The key thing we're doing with sensor things is putting that into an IoT environment. So the lightweight environment, for example, that ARM just described is the target environment for sensor things for IoT. So everything has a location, everything may have an observation, either internal or a sensor looking at the thing, and it also may be taskable. So this is a standard that's been prototyped. It's out as a candidate standard and a wonderful website on GitHub to get more information about that one. So let me leave you with an idea of how we might work together, and that is in an urban IoT testbed. As I said, the way OGC really sees value in developing standards is by implementation prior to voting and vetting the standards in our testbed process. We plan to develop a spatial intelligence architecture for smart cities. That's all focused about pulling together that location and sensing information about the urban environment, focused on IoT, focused on City GML, focused on Indoor GML, focused on all those senses or sources of location and sensed information, and pull that together into a test bed. So actually looking for a physical environment, a city that has probably around 10,000 sensors deployed in order to make this realistic. So that's a concept we're moving forward on, and if you want to find out more about OGC, my name's George Percival. Also here today is Denise McKenzie. She'll be with us through the reception and the like as well. She heads up our communications and outreach department. So reach out to OGC on any location and sensing needs that you have. Thank you very much.